Hey guys, welcome back to the channel, and today we're gonna be reacting to your
Americans
cousin.
don't. No, it's not my cousin.
Is that your
actually.
cousin?
No,
What was
it's a
this?
different page. Americans don't understand European basketball. My cousin is basket news.
Oh,
New York Knicks select Kristaps Porzingis from Liepaja, Latvia.
Who the fuck is Tingus Pingus? I never heard of fucking Latvia.
Luka Doncic is the guard wing 2-3 from Real Madrid and Barcelona.
I don't give a damn about how this kid in Europe looks. I understand he's a 6'8"
Ooh,
point guard.
Doncic used
He's
to be
surreal.
skinny.
He'll probably be the number 2 overall pick.
His feet is slower than rush hour traffic. Okay, really slow feet. Really, that's a problem. So his NBA comparison
he's
is Heaton
bigger than
Turkle.
this now. Oh, I haven't seen him.
He came to America. He ate.
Oh,
Okay,
Domas Sabonis is a really good basketball player. And clearly, he's
That was one of the supposed reasons why he got traded, because he's out of shape.
ah.
It just doesn't move the needle for the Kings at all.
I apologize to Nikola Jokic, who is
No,
not only
no.
in the MVP discussion and deserved to be on my ballot, but he's one of the greatest players in the history of this game.
We shouldn't expect to see much from Porzingis until 2 or 3 years
Oh.
down the road. He was
Porzingis.
perceived as being a project that would be ready to produce
He pronounced G as G, not as yeah.
Oh.
in 3+ years. That was what we were told. I didn't see him. He was playing in Europe. I never saw the guy play.
The dude had 14, 3, and 5, and they're talking about it like he had a Russell Westbrook 40-point triple-double.
So, are they not gonna talk? They're just
Is that the?
no. That what the lady? No,
Yeah.
that's not Joy.
Oh.
They're not gonna talk about this. This is just the highlights of the shows, the sports shows.
Euro leagues, the numbers are always smaller across the board.
And today I'm breaking down why Victor
Oh,
Wembanyama will be the biggest bust in NBA history.
One more of those, and he is mystery.
Or maybe not.
Rather unlikely. Volkov down the lane, lays it up, and a foul. Good move by Sasha Volkov.
The green card 5. Alexander Volkov, Sharunas Marčiulionis, Dražen Petrovic, Vlade Divac, and Žarko Paspal, the first 5 European players that directly went to NBA from Europe. The concept of an European basketball player back then in American eyes was that usually the Euro guys are soft, can only shoot the threes, will probably come over to the States, stay for a year, and will go back to dominate in their respective countries. Combine the factors
What
that it was
happened to Yang?
Yao Ming.
Yeah.
Yang.
No, what?
Yao Ming, right?
Yeah.
Well, he
Wow.
retired. He's old.
I'm sorry.
He's old.
It's incredibly difficult to bring the best European players
Listen, I get it. Yao and Ming combined together, you get Yang. I
I
get
think
it.
that's what my brain
I get
did.
it. I get it.
to NBA due to Iron Curtain. The ones that came to America had difficulties in understanding English and also had a culture shock. NBA back then was simply too different. A 3-point shot was considered to be a bad shot, more physical perimeter defense and no zone defense made a close-range jump shot more appealing, no off-ball movement, and there's a reason for us saying that certain players would flourish in today's NBA. But these 5 green card players made it clear that there's hidden talent in Europe, and as basketball slowly but steadily progressed and became a more global game, more and more Europeans came to NBA, and suddenly everyone wants the new Toni Kukoc. A decade later, everyone wants the new Dirk Nowitzki.
Whoa.
The process wasn't that simple. Along the way, there were multiple players that failed, maybe
okay,
because
that's
they were
for me is my first European basketball player that I
Dirk?
actively, yeah, Dirk Nowitzki.
hostages of being too modern and playing in the wrong era. The beginning of analytics in the early
then
90s had
Tony
a huge
Parker.
impact of rethinking the 3-point shot, thus enabling already capable long-range shooters to attempting more shots, and from NBA scouts' perspective, Europeans became even more attractive. Basketball as a game became international, from Canada to China, from Serbia to
That was
Congo.
Yao
The
Ming.
league
Yeah,
became a
yeah.
worldwide attraction, and NBA was
Yeah,
reaping
yeah,
all
yeah.
the rewards.
In
Now the
fact.
tipping point, I would say, would be Greg Popovich and San Antonio Spurs as they
And
implemented the
his
Europe.
career was short. I feel like he was there for a second and then he stopped.
Yeah, not
I
the
thought-
longest career.
I thought this is now, you know, the new guy who's really tall from France.
Yeah,
He's gonna
Wembanyama?
yeah, because I'm like, this guy's gonna be
Well-
unstoppable because of his height.
Oh, Wembanyama is
Throw the ball,
skinny.
catch it.
Yao
Yeah,
Ming, he had
and
a
he
lot
had
of weight
some
on them
weight,
feet.
yeah,
Yeah, his
weight, yeah.
feet. I think his feet gave out because he was big.
Ooh.
European style of constant motion and ball movement. Their offensive game plan consisted of copying the best European coaches, having a center that can pass the ball, a stretch four that can shoot the ball, and a squad filled with players that understands that type of basketball. NBA soon became a copycat league. Every team wanted to have a Spurs ex-player that became a coach or an assistant coach that perfectly knew ins and outs on how to play like San Antonio Spurs. Without even a blink, the style that was created in Europe but popularized by Greg Popovich in the NBA became the standard of winning basketball. And yet again, Europeans that were already playing like this for decades and had the fundamentals to understand and thrive in such system, they were on an even higher demand as ever. Thus, NBA GMs, coaches, and scouts began to realize the importance of finding and bringing European athletes to NBA. Well, everyone except the American media.
This is what we got to understand. We tend to over-sensationalize European basketball. Okay, there's restrictions that cater to him. You can't have 9 Americans.
That is?
What is?
Like they don't take like European basketball players coming over here to the league as like much hype.
It doesn't always translate. I don't know what it is exactly, but it doesn't always translate.
Why not?
A culture shock maybe. I don't know what it is, to be honest. Yeah, there's a lot of players that get drafted and they don't work out. So, but to be fair, I guess in the if you draft here Americans, they don't always work out too. So I don't know.
So integration.
There
is culture shock. Not so it's not easy.
On the floor in Europe, there's going to be 9 bred Americans on the floor with you 95% of the time in the NBA. That changes the dynamics of the game.
For the longest possible time, every single media analyst was convinced that NCAA is a better competition than EuroLeague.
Yeah, that was the dumbest thing I've heard. Like that argument that NCAA is better than EuroLeague, that is just embarrassing. Yeah.
Basically, that college teams is a tougher matchup than a league consisting of players that actually played in NBA. It was extremely irritating listening how the media tried digesting the competition in Europe when it comes to analyzing Luka Doncic. EuroLeague has the biggest amount.
Yeah, I remember that before he got drafted, they were saying, but he's never played in the NCAA. Like, who gives a fuck? It's college players. There's grown men playing in Europe professionally for money, and here's college players, playing for the kids. Like that was really embarrassing that time period.
So how would you rate the G League?
Honestly, I would argue that G League is even more competitive than NCAA. At least G League is a professional players playing for money. They play like, bless you.
Thank you.
That's their livelihood. They're going to kill for that rebound. In college, I mean, some players in college like that too, because that's their way to make it to the league.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of people in college that just playing, they're just playing to have the tuition paid. They're not, they know they're not good enough to be a professional basketball player. It's just a means to get free education. So it's just not the same competition.
In Europe, how does one get into the G League? Do you have to play
G-League? EuroLeague, you mean?
Yeah, EuroLeague.
Well,
how does one get into that?
So the biggest basketball teams, the clubs, they have the junior teams. So as a kid, you go play for the junior team, and they kind of raise you in the system, and you become part of at a certain age. That's what happened with Luka. He was in the Real Madrid system, I believe, as a teenager, and he became really good at like 16, 17. So they took him into the professional team at like 17 or something like that.
Wow.
Yeah.
Did he finish high school?
Well, I don't know. I would think he got like GED or something.
Oh.
Of ex-NBA players, and Luka debuted in EuroLeague when he was only 16. He didn't shy away from
16, not 17.
Of competition. Straight away, he showcased extreme amounts of maturity. Luka possessed the talent and showcased his game at the highest level possible at that age. It was unseen, it was unheard, and everyone knew that this is something special. In his last season in Europe, Luka Doncic won a EuroLeague title, became EuroLeague's MVP, also Finals 4 MVP, Spanish League's MVP. He was the youngest winner of these awards at just 19. In the summer, Luka gifted his country, Slovenia, first ever medal in FIBA Eurobasket tournament. But I mean, who the hell cares? Those gun-hating, freedom-restricting Europeans with their small numbers, we can't analyze this, we can't transition Luka's game to NBA. What's more crazy that Kristaps Porzingis, a player that was deemed to be a bust, was already balling out for 3 years alongside Carmelo Anthony in a big market team. Kevin Durant even gave a nickname to Kristaps, calling him a unicorn, a nickname that is now popularized in describing point centers. So Porzingis completely flipped how most Americans viewed him. Knicks fans were literally apologizing to Kristaps as he became a sensation. Yet Kristaps didn't even play in EuroLeague, he played in a league behind EuroLeague, and he was nowhere. Of course, for basketball masterminds like Stephen A. Smith, this didn't even register. If you put Martha Stewart Flight and Stephen A. Smith into the same room, Martha Stewart would definitely have the most basketball knowledge in that room. And why the hell a sports analyst?
I think people take these shows sometimes too serious. I think the idea behind these shows is to just, it's called hot, well, it's not called hot take, but basically to give out hot takes to create buzz.
Yeah, they're journalists.
Yeah, they're journalists, so I think they don't always say what they believe in. Like, there's always two people and they have to have disagreeing opinions.
Yeah,
so I think
that's when it's interesting.
Yeah, one party is gonna take one side, and the other party, whether they agree or not, they have to take the other side for the sake of the
Really, they
argument.
have to? I thought they really do feel that way. Maybe.
I don't know. Sometimes, like when I used to watch Skip and Shannon, sometimes the shit Skip be saying, I'm like, there's no way you believe that. Like, there's no way. That's impossible.
Sometimes it's like he likes to be the devil's advocate.
Right. I think they just have to play the devil's advocate and they just argue for the sake of arguing to create show and to create buzz on social media. And that's when people tune in because they hear this dumb shit. So they're like, wow, I can't believe he said that. And then you tune in the next day. What stupid shit you gonna say today? And you know. But I've enjoyed that disputed a lot. I think the Skip's stupid shit, it made it interesting.
Analyst needs to bring down one young player just to emphasize how good is another young player.
And he wasn't always wrong. They had some things I agreed with him on. Yeah, so it's like, you know, it just always have to be opposing points, you know, so to create a debate.
Now, I do understand that sports media has to dumb it down to the casual fans, but it's so fucking weird seeing a 50-year-old being so toxic towards a bunch of teenagers. And what about pronunciations? The dude can't Google or ask around how to pronounce Luka Doncic or Kristaps Porzingis? Of course he can. He can easily delegate someone to quickly explain how to pronounce Doncic, but he chooses not to just to disrespect the player. Obviously now, when Europeans are winning MVP titles, NBA championships, when more and more Americans are trying to watch EuroLeague and FIBA games, Stephen A. Smith is forced to shift his opinion because he is a boomer who thinks that basketball is dominated by strictly American athletes. And the idea of basketball being a global game simply doesn't exist for him. Now, to be honest, I've been noticing that a lot of
I wonder how he feels
American...
about the NBA's choice to wanting to expand overseas. He hates it or he loves it?
I don't know, but I'm sure they talked about it in the show.
Basketball analysts and even players began understanding.
Does he like
why
LeBron or no? Stephen A. Smith.
Yeah.
Europeans have a competitive advantage over players that develop in AU basketball environment. A young player like Luka Doncic is thrown into a system of best young players. If he doesn't showcase glimpses of potential, he's out. Even more pressure when he moved up to the Real Madrid main team. No one is going to tank for your development, no one is going to be patient and babysit you. There's simply no room for mistakes. Either you show something right away or you're going back to the youth team or being loaned out. And evidently this kind of development is perfectly working at the highest level.
What you were saying.
So just stop gatekeeping basketball. Everyone enjoys and benefits from having Europeans, Asians, South Americans and North Americans playing and developing their players. And we should be happy to see diversity in a game that we love.
Now you see that more and more often now.
What, the Europeans?
Yeah, overall, more people coming from outside the US to play basketball.
Yeah, I think the rest of the world is catching up.
Yeah.
You know, for the simple fact that there's more money now involved in development, athletes overseas too. You know, the European basketball has more money than it did 20, 30 years ago. So, you know, they're developing at a faster rate. Yeah, it's nowadays with like the 3-point shot, I guess it's not as dependent of athleticism too. So, you know, if Europeans are good shooters, they can win against athletic players. So, just keep shooting the ball.
Guys, of course, let us know your thoughts. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Join the Discord. And as always, share as much kindness as possible.